What if the United States of America never existed? No Statue of Liberty, no Hollywood, no Silicon Valley. A world with no American power, no dollar dominance, and no superpower at all. The truth is that our world would look completely unrecognizable today in the absence of the United States. Let's go back to the year 1776. Imagine if George Washington's bold attack across the frozen Delaware River had failed. The American Revolution would have collapsed because Britain would have crushed the rebellion. There would have been no United States. The colonies would have stayed under British control, and the dream of independence would have ended before it even began. Without the United States, the British Empire would have become unstoppable. It already controlled Canada, India, and vast parts of Africa. If the 13 colonies had stayed loyal, Britain's empire would have stretched from the Arctic to the Caribbean. London would be the permanent center. But this would have come with consequences. Slavery would have ended much earlier because Britain abolished it across its empire in 1833. There would have been no American Civil War, no Abraham Lincoln, and no Emancipation Proclamation. The Mexican War would never have happened. Texas and California would likely have remained Mexican. Without an American Revolution, there would have been no French Revolution either. France's debt wouldn't have pushed the revolt. Without the U.S. rebellion, there would have been no French Revolution, no Napoleon, and no wars that reshaped Europe. So, who would have ruled North America? Most likely Britain. The U.S. would have been like a larger version of Canada. By the 1900s, the British flag stretched from Florida to Alaska. Meanwhile, Russia would have kept Alaska. That means the Cold War might one day have happened between Britain and Russia, not America and Russia. And speaking of wars, World War I would have been completely different. Without the U.S. in 1917, Germany might have won. That would have meant no Treaty of Versailles, no Hitler, and no World War II. But let's say World War II still happened. Without America's industrial power, the Allies might have lost. By the 1950s, communism could have spread across all of Europe, much of Asia, and maybe even Africa. Moscow, not Washington, would have become the center of world power, and the global language might have been Russian. The Panama Canal wouldn't have existed. Global shipping would have depended on the dangerous route around the Drake Passage. Economically, the world would have been far poorer. Without America's post-war boom, there would have been no global dollar. The internet wouldn't have existed. Silicon Valley, Microsoft, Apple, and Google wouldn't even exist. China's economy would never have found a market. Global trade would have collapsed without the U.S. consumer. And when it comes to culture, there would have been no Hollywood, no Marvel, no Coca-Cola, and no McDonald's. Even social media was an American idea. Without it, the digital revolution might have taken decades longer. Without the U.S., democracy might not have survived the 20th century. Authoritarian regimes might have dominated. Some might argue the planet would have been less militarized. No Vietnam, no Afghan war, no Iraq war. Without the U.S., the story of civilization would have been different and maybe a lot less free. A calmer planet, but also a colder one.